Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to tell you the truth. I hate to break it to you all, but conspiracy theories are just like the moon landing. They're all fake. Conspiracy horror on this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 Time for the show. Yay.
Hey, Jason, what about Yetis?
No!
Welcome to all you conspiracy theorists to another episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. Have you heard the one about the elevator conspiracy?
Oh God, what?
Hundreds of people are saying they got stuck between floors, but I don't believe them. I think they all made it up. This
So
is
many levels to that one.
Yes.
Oh,
This is episode 262. Or is it?
come on.
We are going to talk about conspiracy horror films today and push as many buttons with Jason as we can, apparently. So put your aluminum foil hats on and sit back and relax to this. This is going to be a very interesting show. Now, if you haven't heard our show before, Attack of the Killer Podcast, we are a horror movie podcast. We're a group of friends. We get together, we pick a topic, we talk about movies within that topic, horror movies specifically. We are all just friends here, and we speak openly and freely, so there may be spoilers. If you like what you hear, you may want to consider becoming an attacker. Now, what is an attacker? An attacker is a very special person that it's kind of like the Illuminati.
Oh boy.
Where you get all kinds of cool free stuff. When you support the show, you can get everything from like bonus episodes to our different video series, all kinds of cool, even a t-shirt if you want. You could get a t-shirt. So you need to become an attacker. Just go to jointheattackers.com and you can check out the different tiers there. Sign up for the tier that best suits you so you can get the content that you want. That's jointheattackers.com.
We actually want you to tell people you're in the club, though. Unlike the
Get a
Illuminati.
shirt.
Yeah.
That's right. And now it is time to introduce you to the podcast crew. He believes that there are too many aliens on our planet. That's why they are called extraterrestrials. Andy.
Hi. God.
He has a new theory about the JFK assassination that will blow your mind. Too soon? Tad, everybody.
Not too soon.
And lastly, he believes that aliens have not visited our solar system. His theory is that aliens read the reviews and our solar system only has 1 star. Jason!
Oh, I kind of like that one. That was good.
Thanks.
But hey, everybody, thanks for listening. Sure appreciate you being here.
Now, just real quick, after our last episode, I will keep my soapbox short about Shudder. Hey, sign up for Shudder. Okay, so now we can... Well, actually, you should sign up for Shudder, and if you're unsure, you can get a month for free thanks to us here at Attack of the Killer Podcast. Just enter a promo code AotKP. So don't be lame. Start watching Shudder. Now, speaking of watching stuff, here's Tad with what we watched.
I am excited to hear that you probably all watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, because I'm going to bring that up every episode. Jason, what have you watched?
Hey, I watched some things.
Woo!
Yep. I watched The Northman.
Oh, nice.
Fucking awesome. It was
Way
great.
more farts than I was expecting.
Yeah, one is way more than there should be in a major motion
Right.
picture. But Robert Eggers does it again. It was fantastic, and I enjoyed. I remember. I thought it was last episode. Tad said he doesn't like these kind of movies necessarily. Just the bleak.
I don't, and I
outline.
like this one.
Yeah, I do like them, and it was just a fun, stressful journey for that fella, that Northman.
That Northman.
I checked out Morbius. That was fun.
Oh, is that out?
Yeah.
Oh crap!
Wow.
I didn't even realize it was out.
Yeah.
You're right, crap.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not that. It wasn't. I didn't love it. It was okay. It's fine. I don't know.
do you think they're at the point now where the other studios that are holding on to Marvel properties are intentionally making their movies bad just so Marvel movies look all that much better?
I thought this was Marvel.
It's a Sony Marvel.
It's a Sony.
Oh.
Yeah. Spider-Mans are still Sony, so I don't know.
But no, they work. Marvel works with them.
That's true.
Sony just distributes those, and Marvel pays them a large fee to use Spider-Man.
I thought there was great potential. I thought the duder was great, and the actors were all great. It was just, I just had a hard time with the pacing / writing. Just the first half, just the way they just jump to conclusions on things, and they don't. It's just okay. He can do this now, and like, or this is what happens, and you're just okay with it. It was far too fast and convenient, and it was a bummer.
It's really hit or
cool,
miss. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I was just thinking, like, it's really hit or miss with like a B character, like that, I think. But at the same time, if it wasn't for like a B character like Blade, we do not have the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's what jump-started it.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
And then I watched Firestarter.
Me too.
Oh.
I need to get around to that.
Yeah,
I need to
No, you
finish it.
don't.
come on.
No, you don't.
Come on. There were moments and I'm like, maybe this isn't good. But then I think by the end I was like, I think
This
I
isn't
like
good.
it. No, it was better than that.
There was a baby that caught on fire right at the
Yeah.
beginning, and I'm like, this is gonna rule. And then there's no more babies that catch on fire.
Oh, and then your scale these days of what's good and what isn't good in movies.
Hey, Erica has my back, okay?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, she
she's
does.
that's why she gave it 5 stars. 5 flaming babies she gave it.
No, but they do kill a cat.
Do not
so-
give
But they
her
do
an
kill
idea
it,
for a
yeah.
rating system.
what is like the prerequisite for like burning children in order to make the? I mean, it can't be 1, obviously, but does
And
it need
so-
to be
What do you mean?
like at least 3 or 4?
What, for the age?
Well, no. Like, I mean, how many babies?
How
need
many?
to burn? Yeah.
To make it a good. Moving on. So I since I don't know how to
Nursery.
read, I didn't
Nursery.
read the Stephen King thing, and it's been a minute since I saw the original, but I don't know, it felt really different. But kind of neat though. It felt like it came more out of the X-Men universe than it did a Stephen King universe.
I was sort of like, I've never seen the original, and I was trying to figure out, like, would I have enjoyed this if I paid to see it in the theater? Because I watched it on Peacock.
Yeah.
You give me that option. I'm not gonna, I'm gonna watch it on Peacock,
Right.
and I'm like, it doesn't have my undivided attention. I'm not like, when I go out to a movie, it's a whole different experience. You get your popcorn, you get your seat, and you turn your phone off, and it's like you're in that world.
You're engaged.
So I'm curious. Yeah, and I'm like, and I usually like going against everyone else's. Like, I mean, like everyone hated on Halloween Kills, and I had a blast seeing that in theaters. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I watched this Firestarter like the night it came out, or on Thursday night, and it was like the internet instantly shit all over it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to agree with them,
I
but
know.
I just didn't. I mean, maybe I'm not shitting on it either. I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be, but
No.
it was so forgettable. I forgot I watched it like the next day.
for me, it took a while, but
Yeah.
by the end, I'm like, okay, I do care what happens to this girl, and I kind of care about what happens to Dad. It just took most of the movie to get me there, but yeah, I still gave it like 3 stars. It wasn't. And then lastly, I wish someone would have told me about this movie. That it was probably the best thing I've seen all year. It's called Everything Everywhere All at Once. I finally watched that, and if someone would have told me I'd have watched it sooner, but it was pretty good.
Yes.
Kind of loved it. Kind of want to watch it again once my tears
too.
replenish themselves.
Yeah.
That's what I watched.
Excellent. Andy, what have you watched?
Not a whole lot. I've mainly just been watching television shows with the wife. I've been catching up on the second season of Russian Doll, and I'm enjoying that. I've been watching Wellington Paranormal on HBO Max, which I highly recommend to
Oh,
you guys.
yeah.
It's
A lot of fun.
hilarious.
That's hilarious. That show is hilarious.
It's a great show. I've been catching up on some of the Blu-rays I purchased, and I purchased the Vestron series of Class of 1999. Have you guys ever seen this? It's an older movie, but it's where like they have like mechanical teachers and like these gang members are trying to kill them and stuff like that. Right?
Yeah, with
Seen the 84, not the 99.
Well, this is a sequel.
Yeah.
Stacy, well, loosely.
Yeah.
It's the way I
Stacey
like my sequels.
Stacy Keach and Pam Grier, right?
Yes, and Malcolm McDowell.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And
then-
Bradley Gregg from Nightmare 3.
And then the kid, I can never remember his name. He's he was in River's Edge and Teen Witch and
Near Dark and
Near Dark. Yeah, he's
Joshua Miller.
Joshua Miller. Thank you.
Yeah, he ended up writing the Final Girls.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's also like one of the little Dr. Chalice's kids in Halloween 3, but that's anyway.
And he's the son of the what's his name from The Exorcist.
Father the ones whose mom sucks cocks in hell.
Yeah.
Hey.
Anyway, yeah, it's just cheesy, low grade 1990s, fun. Not much to it, but I learned a lot of things like in the commentary and the special features. I really thought that I was pretty eagle-eyed in catching stuff, but did you guys? She doesn't have a speaking role in this movie, but she's in 3 different scenes as like kind of like in the background as a student. But Rose McGowan was actually in the Class of 1999.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yep, she's like in 3 different scenes, but she doesn't say shit. And another thing, and keep in mind that this is 1990 when the director was going out and they were filming in Seattle, and he was looking for just music in the background, like kind of harder stuff, because like these gangs, they party and whatnot. And he goes into this club it's like kind of like industrial rock, I would say at the time. And he goes and meets this band. It's like, hey, I really like your sound. Can I use like some of your music in my film? And they're like, and they just wanted to get noticed and get heard. It's like, oh, you want to put our music in a movie? Okay. Turns out it's 9 Inch Nails.
Oh,
So like
cool.
9 Inch, yeah. So like in certain scenes, you're gonna hear like Head Like a Hole and stuff like that, which became popular, after this movie, of course. But yeah, there's a bunch of 9 Inch Nails songs just sprinkled throughout this movie, and I was just like, I remember hearing them, I was like, dude, that's 9 Inch Nails. And then when I watched a little bit of the commentary, they were the director relayed the story. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's got like that weird kid from Billy Drago's kid that was in Northern Exposure, like Darren Burroughs, I think. I think that's his name. Anyway, he plays one of the gang members too. But yeah, just real cheesy fun with from when I was like 10. But I was just like, oh god, I remember this movie. I watched it again. It's a good time. But anyway, yeah, I'm totally slacking. I need to watch Firestarter. I need to watch Morbius. I need to watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. I need to watch freaking Doctor Strange 2. But I will get there, I promise, and I will love talking about it with you guys. That is what I watched.
Excellent. That leaves you, Mike. What have you watched?
Jason, have you still not seen the second Doctor Strange?
No,
You saw Morbius over Doctor Strange?
Well, it's,
Right.
it's streaming.
it's streaming.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes more sense.
He didn't pay to
I
see
don't,
Morbius.
I don't live in a
He's
town
not-
with a
he-
theater, so
I assumed you went to the theater. Okay, so first, which do I want to talk about first? I watched The Bubble. You guys catch that on Netflix?
John Travolta. Oh, what?
Bubble Boy.
Yeah,
Jake Gyllenhaal?
Boy in the bubble.
Bubble Boy?
It's about making this making
Move
this,
it in COVID.
making a movie during COVID.
Sounds fun.
Judd Apatow
Oh, was it
movie.
good?
Yeah, it's funny. It's okay. It's got some cool people in it. All of them escape me at this moment, but it's got some funny stuff. I guess at the end of the day, maybe it's kind of forgettable. The storytelling in general to me was a little disjointed, but yeah, it was all right. The one I'm really excited to talk about is I not too long ago finally got around to watching The Last Movie Star with Burt Reynolds.
Oh my
Oh, hell
god,
yeah.
isn't that fucking
awesome.
awesome?
That movie is freaking awesome. Well,
It's so good.
you know, I finally watched it, right? It's directed by Adam Rifkin.
Mhm.
So, there's definitely a lot of Adam Rifkin all over that movie, which is great. I think there's some Blimpie references in there, but yeah, such a great movie, and I love those scenes where he's interacting with like his daydreams, where he's
Mhm.
interacting with himself from other movies. So it
That's
was
very
so
Nick
good.
Cage's new movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Like a lot like that.
Dang it, awesome. Okay, yeah, it just keeps making me want to see that movie more and more. Anyway, yeah.
Did
So
it make
highly
you want to
recommend
go
it.
to a little film festival again?
Oh yeah,
It's just in a house
Yeah.
on a bed sheet kind of thing.
yep. And the last thing I'll bring up is I been marathoning Barry. Which
I
is
need to get on that. I've heard nothing but great things.
oh, it's hilarious. But I marathoned the first 2 seasons and then started watching the 3rd season. I was trying to slow down so I wouldn't get ahead of myself, but I'm completely caught up and dying to see what happens next, obviously. But this 3rd season, oh man, I'm really curious on what direction they're going to go with it, because I'm just going to say Barry's not turning out to be
La 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 la.
such the guy we want him to be.
Well,
by
they
this 3rd
renewed it
season.
for season 4, and he's directing all the episodes.
Yeah, and he's
Awesome.
directed a few throughout these first 3 seasons. Definitely
Bill-
renews your
Go Bill
love for.
Hader.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It'll definitely renew your love for the Fonz. Henry Winkler is awesome in this show. Oh,
Mhm.
so good. And what's great about it is like there's a lot of comedy, obviously, but there's a lot of like really intense dramatic stuff too, and everybody just nails it. So, I highly recommend Barry. But that's what I've watched.
Hey Tad, what have you been watching?
Speaking of Henry Winkler, I watched him jump the shark today during my lunch break.
Nice.
For real.
Pluto TV has the Happy Days channel, and that
Uh-huh.
is on way
Awesome.
too often at my house. And I mean, what are the odds? You turn it on and the Jump the Shark episode's on, you're gonna watch it,
Fuck
right?
yeah,
and,
you are.
and get back to work late because you stayed and watched the whole episode.
Exactamundo.
And my boss has to understand. I mean, he's rational. Has to be rational. Anyways, I watched quite a bit, guys. I watched Firestarter. I let my opinions be heard. I didn't hate it. I like to, play that advocate to Jason, loving everything. Had a great fucking score from John Carpenter. So if nothing else,
Oh, that's right.
The score
yeah.
was good.
which is just weird mindfuck to think that Carpenter was supposed to direct the original Firestarter, got fired because of how poorly The Thing did in the box office. So he ended up getting Christine instead, and to me, all things are right in this universe. You know,
Things have a way of working themselves out, right?
right? Like I can't imagine a world where Carpenter didn't do Christine, but it's cool to bring him back and let him do a score to a movie he had nothing to do with. You know. Anyways, Friday the 13th, I watched Friday the 13th: A New Beginning on the big screen, which was a blast.
Nice.
That's a fun one to watch with a crowd, and a heavily intoxicated crowd at that. And then that night watched Housebound on Joe Bob Last Drive-In. That was one of his 2 movies. And we watched that for this show years ago, and that's a blast, and that's a fun one for him to talk about. And then this past week on the Last Drive-In, he did Nosferatu and Nosferatu the Vampire, which I had never seen, the reboot with
Klaus Kinski.
Yeah, Kinski, and he had so many good stories about Kinski, and
Oh, I bet. I totally missed this last one, so
yeah, it's been fantastic. Watched the Better Call Saul mid-season finale last night. Holy shit, that show rules. Checked out Jackass 4.5, which is a lot of fun. It's basically all the sketches that did not make it in the Jackass Forever. It's on Netflix now. And then one movie that really blew my mind, I had a blast with. I can't believe I'm saying this, and I'm telling everyone who's listening to go see it or check it out. It's on Disney Plus. It's Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
Oh man, you blew my mind when you were talking about that online. I'm like, oh,
And
I so
that
want to
is
see it now.
the tip of the iceberg, you guys. This
Really?
movie, you could watch it literally 3 times in a row, and you would not catch all the references. This movie puts Ready Player One to shame.
What?
Shame.
Wow.
How is that
This
possible?
movie has it's a Roger Rabbit world, and every animated character from all the way back to the 20s. I mean, I can't imagine how much they had to shell out to use everybody's. I mean, they have the Fabulous
Probably
Furry
own 'em
Freak
all
Brothers. I mean, they have Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers, Beavis and Butthead,
Shit, really?
Dobby. I mean, South Park. I mean, everything from all the way to adult to kids. Big Mouth, like modern.
What? Big Mouth?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just really weird, and they make some really adult. I mean, this movie is for adults, but it's rated like PG. I mean, it's insinuated that Dale from Chip and Dale is a stripper. He listens to Lamb of God in his earbuds. I mean, it has Tenacious D's on the soundtrack. It has Skeletor. It has Transformers. It has He-Man. It has
Oh, there you go, Jason.
I'm gonna go watch this right now. You guys.
yeah. It's so much
Can we-
fucking fun, and the writing's so
God.
clever. It's done by the Lonely Island guys from SNL. Andy Samberg and John Mulaney play Chip and Dale. And they have just like a
Greatest
who's
combo ever.
Jim Cummings plays Darkwing Duck. I mean, they have.
What the?
They got
There's a scene where they're at a convention where all the washed up animated characters are at, and like it's like I'm like a kid in a candy store, looking around. I don't want to spoil like the main villain. I mean, Seth Rogen plays every animated character he's ever voiced in the movie, which is hilarious. And I will. I want to spill everything, but one of the funniest gags is this ugly Viking character played by Seth Rogen, and it's done in the style of the Polar Express, with that really awkward CGI, where they make fun of it. Like, he answers this door, and the chipmunks are like, "Who are you talking to?" And he's like, "Well, you guys, obviously." And he's like, "But you're not looking at us." He's like, "Oh, my animation doesn't allow my eyes to move." And they're like, "Well, this is weird." They're like, "You have those weird dead Polar Express eyes." And he's like, it's just so funny. They make references to that. Like, one of the chipmunks is CGI, and that's like in the animated world is like considered getting work done. And so the plot of this movie, and this isn't a spoiler, this is just really fucking clever, okay? The idea is that this villain that I will not spoil, it will blow your mind when you see him. The villain of the movie is kidnapping old animated characters and bringing them to the black market, and he erases their mouths so they can't speak, and he takes away a distinguishing characteristic and creates bootleg movies, sort of like asylum movies, with these characters so that they won't get sued by Disney or whatever, Warner Brothers or whatever. So, like, they have like
Wow.
Flounder from Little Mermaid, and they like remove like his stripes and put like a weird fin on his back or something, so he's just different enough, and they put him in a movie that's like petite fish girl instead of the Little Mermaid. And in this world, I mean, literally, they're walking down the street and you'll see hundreds of references behind them. There's like a Gucci ad with Dobby in it. There's Butthead is senator. Like, yeah, Beavis and Butthead are, and Butthead is a senator. It's mind blowing, you guys. This movie is a treat. It is so fucking funny, and like you could pause it just frame by frame, and it would blow your mind. Like I had to get on the internet right away and look up all the shit I missed because I was just flabbergasted.
Awesome.
Yeah, so the idea is like they're. Did you guys ever watch Chippendale Rescue Rangers in the late 80s?
Oh yeah.
I did.
They had their sidekick Pepperjack, the bigger chipmunk with the
Monterey.
big mustache.
Yep.
Monterey, yeah, sorry, different cheese. But the idea is that he's kidnapped and they have to get back the Rescue Rangers back together to save him. And yeah, that's the idea of the story. It's a very simple story, but it's so goddamn good. It's on Disney Plus. I listened to the writers on a podcast, and they talked about how they literally wrote the script, and this title of it, working title, was Chippendale Rescue Rangers Reboot Nobody Asked For. And they took it to every studio, and Disney Plus was like, we'll try, but there's no way we're getting all these rights. And they did, and they got... There's a few that you could tell that they couldn't, so they make jokes about them.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's what you do.
the Coca-Cola polar bear's in it, but he can't like actually have Coke, so he just holds like a nondescript cola bottle. Very funny stuff. It's so, I mean, I'm not even like spoiling anything. It's just, you got to watch it. It's on Disney Plus. It's like an hour and a half, but it's like from the first fucking minute until the post credits. It's unbelievable, man. Like, I don't know how they convinced Disney to make this and put it out. I wish it was in theaters, but it is such a treat. It's an unexpected treat too. Just so good. But I'll stop talking about it because I've been on it for a half an hour. That's what I watched.
Oh
Nice.
man. Yeah,
You sold it, Tad. You sold it really good.
yeah, I am totally sold. Like I was sold with the things you revealed when you were talking to Messenger, but now it's like I'm with Andy. Let's wrap this up so we can go watch it.
How could you not want to see a movie where Butthead is a senator? I want to see it on that alone.
Oh man. Oh yeah, let's get this done then so we can go watch it. Just kidding. Well, thank you, Tad, for all of that. And now this is the moment of the show I've been waiting for this episode. Because I know I'm going to win this time. This is going to be my time down here. It's your time up there, but my time down here. What am I talking about? I don't know. Let's find out with Jason in pole position.
From now on, like your parents were, you are the secret force of pole position.
All right, let's take a quick look back at episode 260's poll. And the question was, who are your favorite horror movie doctors? You guys remember answers? That's fine, I'll tell you. So Insane Mike said Dr. Loomis and Dr. Frankenfurter.
Woo!
Pretty good. Jason says Herbert West and Seth Brundle. Tad says Hannibal Lecter and Dr. Satan. And Andy says Dr. Frankenstein and Dr. Moreau. OMG, fellas. Well, I hate to say it, Andy. You got 0 votes.
What?
D
Frankenstein?
For
Nied.
Frankenstein? That's
OG.
I'm sorry. I have to I'm in Andy's
That's
corner on
harsh.
this one. This is
I know.
Damn
Yeah.
harsh.
These other
No
picks are
respect
just so
for the
good.
OGs.
I know. And so in third place is Tad with 9%.
Oh,
of
how the
vote.
mighty has fallen.
I forgot to log into my bot accounts. and vote.
That must have been it. And so the winner, I'm looking at you
Oh,
just in case it's you.
it is me. Yes!
With 64% of the vote, Insane Mike took it.
64%.
Holy
Jesus Christ.
crap.
What the
Awesome.
hell happened?
Man.
Was it the Loomis or the Frankenfurter?
And
that
people
did it?
love them sweet transvestites, I'm telling you.
I don't understand the internet sometimes. What happened? Hey, congrats, buddy. You finally got one.
I mean, Loomis is a great.
That's a
pick.
pretty good one. That had to be what it was.
Yeah, it's hard to beat the king.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's get into this episode's pole position. The question is your favorite horror movie fan theories.
I am not kidding. This is the part of the show I've been looking forward to the most.
So we're gonna do a snake draft like normal, 2 picks. We will got the random sequence generator here. Mike will be 1, I'll be 2, Tad will be 3, and there'll be 4. Here we go. Sequence. Come on, Mike, be last.
No. First.
Beep boop boop beep boop. And it's in reverse order. It goes Andy,
What?
then Tad. This is random. Then Jason, and then Mike.
You are random.
So Andy, you got the first pick, pal.
Okay. My favorite theory is a relatively new one, but it's just I think it's hilarious and it does kind of make sense. But there's a fan theory out there that Kevin Mcallister from Home Alone
Ugh.
actually becomes Jigsaw because of the traps that he sets in the house. He kind of becomes like this kind of I guess Jigsaw does it because of his wife later on, but he kind of gets his training from hurting all the wet bandits. This is like his very crude way of hurting people. And yeah, the theory goes that Kevin Mcallister actually grows up and becomes Jigsaw in Saw.
Nice. I thought Tad would want that one just for the. All right, Tad,
That's
you're
like-
up next.
I was gonna say that's like the only one I could come up with. So let me look here real quick on the internet.
Shit.
Oh,
I think there was one, and I misunderstood this and was thinking it was like conspiracy theories behind making the movies, like behind the scenes. So I guess the only other one I could find that I thought was even interesting was that Sam Loomis from Psycho is actually Sam Loomis from John Carpenter's Halloween.
that's a good
we know-
one.
No, it's not. But
Well,
we knew
what-
it
Well,
was-
as the theory goes, besides the fact that they both have the same name, is that after Loomis's encounter with Norman, he decided to go into psychiatry and yeah, I guess that.
I'm glad you explained it because like I said, I had
Yeah.
to Google and try to find something because I don't know. I don't have any. So thank you, Mike.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. Well, so I'm up next. I'm going to go with a fun one that is movies that I love. I'm going with the conspiracy theory that Childs from that one movie, The Thing, is the thing in that other movie, They Live. Yeah? Nobody?
Oh, I thought you were going to expand on it.
Oh, I was trying.
I've always heard that that people think he's the thing, but not that he's the thing
Yeah.
and They Live.
So you think Childs is actually Frank?
Oh, no, I think I made that up. I read that wrong.
You're confusing me here, dude.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Although I do want to think about that, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, since he was one of the two that were left. Right.
Yeah.
Which he has to. I mean, either it's him. It's a 50-50 chance that it's him or
Yeah.
McCready.
And as the theory goes, if I remember right, thinking that Childs ends up being the thing at the very end of the movie is that one of the clues there is that Kurt Russell gives him the wine to take a drink from, and the bottle and it's supposed to be gasoline in the wine bottle, because that's the same bottles he was using to make the Molotov cocktails when he blew up the thing. And then the other big clue is that after he takes the drink, that theme music kicks in, and throughout the entire movie, if you go back and pay attention, when that theme music kicks in is usually right before the reveal of the thing. Like the thing kind of shows up every time that music plays, and that stinger just starts up right after he takes a swig of the quote unquote wine or gasoline.
Very cool.
Yeah. See, I
You really are into it.
I am.
Well, all right, you're up next. Pick 4 and 5. Did you get yours taken?
No, thank
You're
God.
so happy.
My all-time favorite. See, in these things, it's just like conspiracy theories in general. I don't necessarily believe in all of them, but they're fun to think about, and they're fun to kind of see where people make the connecting threads. Although I'm going to say that I do believe in this one because I love this movie, and there are so many haters out there of M. Night Shyamalan that make fun of this movie for big plot holes in it. And so to me, this fan theory is the biggest middle finger to all those haters. And that theory is in the movie Signs, the aliens are actually demons and not aliens. Which throws that whole freaking, if they are just killed by water, why did they land in freaking cornfields? Yeah, because...
Show us the evidence, bro. Present the evidence.
All right, well, first of all, obviously, there's a shit ton of religious themes going on throughout this entire movie. Number two, at no point anywhere do we see spaceships. Do we see the aliens land?
No.
Nothing like that. So, and number three, Mel Gibson is a priest who is coming to terms with his beliefs that he has lost his belief until he fights these quote unquote aliens. And then he has his beliefs back because they're not aliens, they're demons. And of course, the water would hurt them because a priest would bless his house, aka the tap water. And that is what takes down the demons. So that, and I know there's more to it in there that I'm forgetting, but those are the main connecting threads that convinces me that they're not aliens, they're demons.
It's fucking awesome.
See, aren't these fun?
I want to watch it again. I already love the movie, but that'll be a fun rewatch thought.
Yeah, I've been meaning to for quite a long time, ever since I first heard that theory. I've been meaning to rewatch it and just see if I can spot things or see if I can to make sure that all those things are covered, you know.
Aliens are misdirection.
Yeah, and that would make sense with him too, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so my next one then, since I get to go next again. Okay. Let's see. Let me double check my list here. Okay. I'll go with this one because it's another probably it's probably one of the more famous ones. But I do want to bring up an honorable mention when we're done because it's one that I really love as well, but probably not as well known, or at least the movie anyway. But I'm going to go with The Blair Witch Project. The Blair Witch did not kill Heather. The whole thing was made up and was a plot by Josh and Mike to lure Heather out into the woods and kill her.
Ooh.
I've read that one.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing, you don't see anything supernatural happen in the movie. Mike is standing, Josh disappears, right? And then you see Mike standing in the corner at the very end and something hits her from behind. And there's other clues too on how it seems like, they are following Heather throughout this whole adventure, but yet they're always leading the way. Like they're always in front of Heather when they're traveling. Even though Heather's the one with the map, all this, that, and the other thing. Mike is the one that kicks the map into the river. Like all these chains of events. And if you go and watch like The Curse of the Blair Witch and read some of the online history of the Blair Witch and everything, Heather and Josh dated at one point before the movie, and it did not end well. So I think that goes into the theory that has to do with the motivation behind wanting to kill her, kind of thing. So, and again, there's a lot more to that as well that I just don't remember. But
Nice. Another one worth rewatching with that in mind. That'd be fun.
see, that's why these are fun, because then you could, you can play with that when you go back and watch these movies and look at them from a different angle.
Well, that puts me next, and oh man, I got a good one here. It's one of my favorites that I did know about long before this, but it's that Freddy, Jason, and Ash Williams are all in the same universe thanks to that Necronomicon. We have Freddy and Jason have shared a movie together, but Freddy's glove is in Evil Dead 2.
Yeah,
Necronomicon is in Jason Goes to Hell. So is it possible the Necronomicon is the source of Jason and Freddy's powers? And or is Jason actually a Deadite? Interesting, right? Anyway, that's one I always thought was fun. Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. Make it happen.
Yes, please.
All right, Ted, pick 7. What do you got? What'd you find?
I'm doing another Michael Myers one.
Knew it.
Another Halloween one. There's a theory that Michael Myers is tethered from the movie
Yes.
Us, Jordan Peele's Us, that he is actually like tethered there, and not just from him being sort of like a soulless killer that seems to be like a machine, but he doesn't talk. When you think about the tethered people in Us, they don't speak. They sort of grunt, and they're sort of a little more primal. And then there's little things like the rabbit in red matchbook and the rabbits in Us, the red jumpsuits. The idea, with the rabbit, like replacing the rabbit brains. There's one that I think's a little bit of a stretch. People claim, the tunnels underneath the Myers house in Halloween Resurrection. I like to just not think about Halloween Resurrection as canon, so we can wipe that one away. But and of course, that Halloween was made in 1978, and this was 2019, so there's no way that like Carpenter ever linked those two together. But it'd be cool in Jordan Peele's universe that he could sort of make this, a reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
Andy
All
says
right.
no.
Andy.
Finding Andy's favorite 2 movies, his favorite 2 directors.
Well, speaking of Andy, let's finish this off. Pick 8 here. What do you got?
Well, I guess I got an honorable mention too, but I'll go with this one. Jack Torrance is a test subject for MK Ultra.
Yeah.
Love it.
Let's see. It says it's occasionally theorized that the caretaker position that Jack takes is a cover for the government to test drugs on the Torrances because it's isolated and they can be studied, within the hotel or whatever. They say that Bill Watson is the person who gets the gig for Jack, and he's the mastermind behind the whole operation. The latter point even made more possible in the alternate ending of the film, which shows that Watson may have been more aware of the overlooked secrets than he let on. So maybe all this stuff is, that they have been drugged for the MK Ultra program, and they're all going nuts, not just Jack.
Nice. Well, all right. I heard you guys say you had some honorable mentions.
I'm just gonna. I'm trying to find.
I got mine queued up if you want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
There is a theory that Pennywise is also Killer Bob from Twin Peaks.
Whoa,
I just saw that one while looking.
I haven't heard that. one
Yeah,
before.
I'll give you the rundown. It's Pennywise mentions that his name is Robert Bob Gray, and of course, Killer Bob from Twin Peaks' name's Bob. They're both ageless supernatural beings whose given name isn't truly Bob, but they are both interdimensional beings. Killer Bob came from the Black Lodge, while Pennywise came from the Macroverse. Since we humanoids only know our own dimension, there's no reason that the Lodge and the Macroverse can't be the same. Further similarities include how both can shapeshift. Pennywise can assume different forms, and Bob can inhabit other beings. Um, Pennywise killer Bob inhabits the souls of other people, not to mention giant spiders. Top it off, they both feed on fear and suffering. Yeah, there's that too, and plus, Bob's got a thing for owls too. Something along those lines. I mean, there's correlation there, but I don't know if you could really kind of hammer that down and have it be a conspiracy. But it's kind of a cool little idea.
Okay, mine. I was trying to find some of the dot points of the connecting thread because it's been so long since I've read up on this theory. But the article's like, I don't know, it's kind of way too long to try to pick it apart, and so I don't have a whole lot to go on this. But my second all-time favorite fan theory is Snowpiercer is a sequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
And so I just recommend going and looking into it, because once you do, it'll blow your mind. It is quite interesting, the parallels between those two movies, which is hilarious because you would never think that with a movie like Snowpiercer and a movie like Willy Wonka. I also want to throw out there, this one was a new one that really makes a lot of sense too. The boy, the son, that his dad shot, spoilers, at the end of The Mist, that the boy, that the crazy religious nut lady was actually right all along, and the boy had to be sacrificed in order for the mist to end. Because if you think about it, when dad does shoot his son and kills him at the end of The Mist, the fog lifts and the military shows up.
They talked a little bit about this. They did a Mist episode of with Gorley and Rust, and they were questioning it because there's a scene where one of the bugs comes right up to the face of the religious lady and it doesn't kill her. And it's like, oh, is it because she's like been praying and they're afraid of her because she's this like, devout Christian?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It's fun that it's in there like that.
Yeah. Another cool one, Eugene from Behind the Mask is actually Billy from Black Christmas. It's another one that I forget the connecting threads, but it would make sense that maybe the filmmakers of Behind the Mask maybe kind of could have possibly thrown that in there, considering there is so many horror movie and slasher movie references in Behind the Mask. I think it had something to do with when what's his name is talking. What is his name? He was in Walking Dead.
Herschel's, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the actor's
Scott
name.
Wilson.
Scott Wilson.
Yeah.
When Scott Wilson is he's playing Eugene, when he's talking about being one of the first or something like that, and there was some other things that he said that during that scene where they connected to Black Christmas. But and I think I got one more, that there are actually two monsters running around in the movie Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Which would explain certain moments of the film where there's an apparent size difference in the monster from scene to scene, and that kind
When
of
it's
stuff.
really just like someone screwing up the continuity.
Yep.
It was
I saw one
intentional.
that was like comparing, I don't know if it's a conspiracy, but it was like comparing Seven to Willy Wonka, like all these kids, like gluttony.
Oh, nice. That's a
And
good
so
one.
Wonka's killing them off one by one because of their greediness, which is like not even really a stretch. Like literally, they are dying because of their own stupidity, like their greediness and selfishness. Like that is the moral message of the movie. So
Awesome. I like that one too. But yeah, I seriously check out the Snowpiercer Willy Wonka thing, because there is a ton of connecting threads where, like, basically the guy who runs the train when Captain America gets to the front of the train. That's actually Charlie, from Willy Wonka, and like all the, I guess you could almost say in video game terms, the bosses that he comes across throughout the train are the other kids from Willy Wonka, and there's things that connect them. It's very interesting, and it goes down quite the rabbit hole. I highly recommend looking into it, and then going back and watching Snowpiercer with that in mind.
Well, the internet is rife with lots of conspiracy theories. And while you're on the internet, be sure to get over to Twitter at AotKP. Get your votes in on this poll position. Let us know what you think are the best horror movie fan theories. And that's poll position.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome, Mike.
And now it's time to talk about the movies for our conspiracy episode. Why don't you start us off, Jason?
I will. The first movie we're talking about, oh my gosh, we're going back a little ways. And it's quite a classic, if I could say so. It's from 1959, and it's called North by Northwest.
I'm an advertising man, not a red herring. I've got a job, a secretary, a mother, 2 ex-wives, and several bartenders dependent upon me. And I don't intend to disappoint them all by getting myself slightly killed.
Cary Grant becomes a secret agent against his will. Propelled at gunpoint onto the highest level of international intrigue and framed for murder. Cary Grant, running for his life, searching for a man who doesn't exist, and a secret nobody knows, and finding a blonde who has all the answers.
Hello there.
Tell me, why are you so good to me?
Shall I climb up and tell you why?
At breakneck speed, they race together toward the excitement that lies dead ahead, north by northwest.
How do I know you aren't a murderer?
You don't.
Cary Grant, Eva Marie Saint, and James Mason as the man of sinister surprises.
Apparently, the only performance that'll satisfy you is when I play dead.
In your very next role, you'll be quite convincing, I assure you.
The perfect setup for suspense. With the perfect woman and the perfect crime. As Alfred Hitchcock takes you north by northwest.
All right, I'll just say all that again. This classic suspense film finds New York City ad exec Roger Thornhill, played by Cary Grant, pursued by ruthless spy Philip Van Damme, played by James Mason, after Thornhill is mistaken for a government agent. Hunted relentlessly by Van Damme's associates, the harried Thornhill ends up on a cross-country journey, meeting the beautiful and mysterious Eve Kendall along the way. Soon Van Damme's henchmen close in on Thornhill, resulting in a number of iconic action sequences. Directed by Alfred Hitchcock.
Who?
Alfred Hitchcock. Holy moly, this is good. Music, Bernard Herrmann, the man himself.
Oh, yeah.
And this was my first time watch. And
Hell yeah.
what took so freaking long? Gosh dang, this is good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good movie.
So freaking good. So many reasons. Just love these old movies. They're growing on me a lot. Looking backwards, I'm just having a blast. And you know, that Cary Grant guy, he's all right.
He's awesome.
He's good at these
Always
movie things.
Stellar.
So goddamn charming.
Same with
Mhm.
Eva Marie Saint.
She's gorgeous
Couldn't
and
take your eyes off
cunning
of her.
and yeah.
You've
and
got Martin
mysterious.
Landau.
Yeah,
Martin
young-
Landau.
young-
first of our
Landau.
double feature tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even
Yeah,
realize.
And I'll be fucking
we
honest.
double dipped in the Landau.
Landau is the fucking sexiest man alive that I've ever seen in this movie. Like he gave me a serious, I won't say that, but he was so guy. He looked so awesome with his slick back hair and his, being able to walk upright. I'm just not used to seeing him in movies where.
Well, the thing is,
God,
man,
he was so
just like,
fucking cool.
I had a hard time not chuckling and thinking, since like Mason, was the lead heavy, I'm thinking like Mason sidekick. Fuck you.
Yeah, he against James Mason, I thought he fucking outdid him. I thought he was awesome. I just loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought maybe it was just for me, just because I am a Martin Landau fan. So as soon as I saw him, he stole the show for me. But maybe he did in general, but with saying so little, he didn't have a whole lot of dialogue in this movie, which is great.
What a face! What a handsome, scary looking dude.
Just a very intimidating look. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Just seeing him so young is so awesome. I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
And the chemistry between Grant and Saint was really, really good.
Really good.
The dinner scene where he lights her cigarette and then she pulls back the match and blows it out for him, and I was just like, oh yeah, nicely done.
This is pretty racy. Their sexy talk for
Right?
1959. Those two were going
The
back and
wordplay
forth.
was really good.
They were going to Bone Town.
It was pretty racy. I was kind of shocked by it, to be honest.
And offended.
And turned on. It was great. Yeah.
Of course,
your guys.
you have you guys ever heard about, it's slightly off subject, but I am talking about Cary Grant. That guy did hundreds of LSD trips.
Lucky.
Yeah, and it's just he was with Timothy Leary, and it's just he seems like a freaking wild man. I want to party with him. He shit all over his own living room rug. Cary Grant was a fucking nut. He was so awesome.
And this Hitchcock guy, I think he's gonna be good.
Hitchcock is great. You can't really say anything negative about Hitchcock or this movie. I mean, it is a classic film.
He wasn't very nice to women.
Well, this is true.
No, he wasn't.
I'm just talking about as a filmmaker.
Okay.
Talking about why
I took that as a personal challenge. Okay, I could say something bad about Hitchcock.
It was fun to see his cameo too.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Right out of the gate cameo.
Right on the nose.
I will say, if you're bringing up the awfulness of Alfred Hitchcock, I do want to say at one point I'm watching this movie, and there is the girl at the check-in desk or whatever that was a very bad actress, and all I could think was just is this a girl that Alfred, offered a part to just to have sex with her or something? Because it does not seem like the caliber of somebody who would be in an Alfred Hitchcock movie. Nobody knows what I'm talking about?
I don't recall that specific person.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I didn't really have much of an effect on me.
Anyway, but this movie's a classic, and much like most of Alfred Hitchcock's films, this one has been highly
It's probably in the top
ripped
3,
off,
I think.
plagiarized, like highly referenced in so much beyond this that if it is a first time watch for you, some of the story threads may come off as rather predictable or just like a trope, but this is what started all of that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the blueprint for, a lot of his spy movies. I mean, the Hitchcock trope is just
movies.
Yeah, and Hitchcock used a lot of common man put into extraordinary circumstances beyond his control, and then him or her, overcoming it.
Yeah.
And and he used that a lot in the 39 Steps or The Man Who Knew Too Much or Saboteur and a lot of his earlier work. But here I think is probably his best example of it. Another thing I wanted to mention, did you guys notice when they were finally in South Dakota, because I mean they were pretty much on a world tour US tour this whole movie. When they do the fake shooting in like that crowded room, did you see the kid in the background get plug his fingers into his ears? Like he knew like
That it
a
was
loud
coming.
noise was. Yeah.
No, I
If
missed
you
that.
go back and look at it, there's a kid like in the background. You can see him plain as day, and he's plugging his ears with his fingers, and it stayed in the movie.
I was too busy being pissed at her for shooting him.
Thing is, like, okay, so that's what I'm talking about. He gets shot, and the first thing I think is like, oh, it's blanks. He's gonna be fine, because. But to think, like, if I was sitting in the theater for the first time in 1959 watching this movie with a crowd, I bet it just floored the freaking audience. Like, oh my God, he's dead. How are we gonna? What's gonna happen next? It would even be crazier if this movie came out like after Psycho, and now people already have that expectation of like, well, Alfred Hitchcock's just gonna kill his leading character. It makes sense. This is gonna happen, right? So, but there was.
That is why he's the master of suspense.
That's right. But there are still moments, and I think this is another reason why Jason probably likes this movie, is that just so many bad things happen to Cary Grant throughout this whole movie, yet he can still get himself out of certain situations by using his brain and being really clever and trying to get the upper hand back and whatnot. And a lot of those again feel like tropes now, but there was one scene that just like really impressed me, and that was his tactic of getting out of the auction.
Yeah,
that scene is just so great.
Fuck yeah!
My God!
It's like, what is he doing? Wait, okay.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
getting himself arrested. Genius.
Yep, genius. Getting himself escorted out of there so the bad guys don't get him. Very, very cool.
Lowering the bid and then upping the bid, and I'm just
and
like,
it's
what
hilarious.
The fuck is this?
Yeah.
Oh God, it's gold. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite scene in the whole movie, to be honest.
That's great. But I was really actually shitting my pants when he gets dropped off that bus out in the middle of fucking nowhere.
In the plane, yeah.
And you're just like, and then it gets quiet and it just hangs there, and you're just like, oh, you are fucked, dude. You're in the middle. You are a sitting duck. And then the fucking plane, you're just like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I know about this, but it was fun to see the scene. And
I mean,
good Lord.
The iconic scenes of Alfred Hitchcock, I mean, nothing is ever going to top Janet Leigh in that shower. I mean, it's just, you can't beat that. But if one scene is going to come close, it's Cary Grant running from that plane, in my opinion.
Well, here's what I'm wondering too, because there's obviously nothing visually or audio wise that is by chance or a mistake when it comes to Alfred Hitchcock, right? And I'm looking at the original poster here too, and it even has the image of Cary Grant being chased by that plane with Mount Rushmore behind him. I mean, that scene doesn't take place at Mount Rushmore, and I'm assuming some of those shots had to have been in the original advertising for it, correct?
I would assume so.
Yeah, so I don't think it was. I mean, we all know that this is going to happen because that, like you said, this is that moment is iconic. It's an iconic moment in cinema history. Him being chased by that crop duster, but did people realize it back then? Because I think that maybe he intentionally wanted people to know that was going to happen, because through that entire scene, when I'm watching it, every time a car goes by, you hear the audio of the car off in the distance first before you see the car go by. And every single time to me, it sounded like a plane. I'm like, oh, here it comes. And then it wasn't
Like
it.
ramps up your tension.
Yeah, and that's what he does, right? So
yeah, and
I feel like it was intentional.
I think it's the setup to it, and then the payoff because of the desolation of where he is, and that he's there for a big meeting and a major part of him trying to find out what the hell is going on, but unbeknownst to him, he was set up.
Yeah.
And then once you realize that he's set up, and then here comes this plane, and it's it's such a great payoff within the movie, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's why it's so iconic.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's I really like it because so many of these movies where they do that, like, is he crazy? The audience knows what's going on, but the other people all think he's just nuts. I that always like gets at me. But I like at the end of this, it's like he ends up okay, and everybody understands what happens, and they know that, you know what I mean. Like, it ends up okay for
the
him.
last 5 seconds.
Right, where they're dangling,
Yeah.
One
somebody
shot,
gets
and then
shot.
it's done,
Right.
yeah.
Come
and it's
on,
such-
Mrs. Thornhill.
Yeah, they just don't make endings like that anymore, where it's just like
No.
boom, it's shot, and then it's
great.
like credits. Yeah, the end.
I really like that camera shot too, where they're hanging and some dumb reason Cary Grant's asking for help from the bad guy.
Yeah.
And it's the shot of just the foot stepping into the frame where his hand's at, and then stepping on his foot, and then you hear the gunshot, and the foot just starts to slump. I thought it was just a masterfully done shot. I really like that too.
A big
like,
reveal. Yeah.
Nothing cut away from just
I
this
do-
close up of the foot and the hand.
I do have a question for Mike. Is there like a Lincoln Kennedy conspiracy
Oh,
with
Jesus
this?
Christ.
Since they are hanging off of Lincoln?
That's right, and Kennedy would often hang off of hookers.
Well, yeah, he liked his blondes too, apparently.
See, connected.
Oh, you guys missed a good bonus episode last week. That's what they're talking about. Anyway.
I love the chase of the whole thing, like how he gets out of things to shave. Like, he goes into the bathroom and he's shaving. Like, little things like that are so like weirdly charming that you could not do now because people don't shave in the bathroom at train stations, but or hiding in like a phone booth. But it's
Let's
like,
bring that back, can we?
but it's cool shit, right? Like, how do you get out of this? Go in and put shaving cream all over your face, and it's a legit disguise.
The fucking just the physical comedy of him with that tiny little fucking razor and that other guy.
Yeah,
That shit was
like, what took you so long? Big face,
His
small
eyes-
razor.
Oh, it's so good.
His eyes are allergic to questions, because that guy keeps, like, what do you want?
Shit.
Why are you wearing glasses? They're allergic to questions.
It's good.
And then them forcing him to drive that convertible, and he's just fucking smoked.
And he's having flashbacks. And
I'm thinking to myself, like, I probably looked fucking worse than he did, and I probably drove worse.
And you probably used the same excuse to the cops too.
Yeah, it's just like, I got kidnapped and assaulted with a bottle of bourbon. Yeah. Him drunk and with the cops is just, that's the thing about this movie. It's actually freaking hilarious.
It is, and that's the thing.
His
like,
mom sucks. His mom's a bad mom.
Oh man, the mom.
God.
yeah.
When she's on the elevator and she just looks at him and is like, "Are you planning on killing my son?"
Worst mom, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, Alfred Hitchcock has always had, even with his even most darkest of films, would have like a lot of comedy to it.
He's got a good sense of humor.
He's got a very twisted sense of humor. And I learned that back in the day watching the old Alfred Hitchcock presents shows on cable back in the day. Like, man, I love those. I want to watch that.
You gotta love the Technicolor, and the opening credits by Saul Bass are so cool.
Yeah.
They're like diagonal along with the skyscrapers along the floors of the building, and they're like blocks. It's like for that, not only that time, just like now, that would be cool. Like, the art of opening credits is gone, and that's really fucking cool. Like, he had his own like graphic designer that did his posters and titles and stuff, and just so stylish,
Just between Vertigo and Psycho, I mean, those opening credits are just, like you said, they're just art. It's just, they're just so entertaining to watch, and there's really nothing fancy about it. It's just really well done.
Right.
And y'all can go watch it on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend, man. It's so good.
This is one that's got to be part of your collection now.
Yeah.
Like, you don't buy physical media, so
That's true.
I do have it on DVD. Thank you.
I bought HBO Max.
I have an anniversary copy of North by Northwest. I really enjoy this film, and
I
it was
can't
fun
remember if
revisiting
I
it.
upgraded this one to 4K or if I still have the Blu-ray. I think just
Mm.
the Blu-ray on this one.
I think the only Hitchcock I have on 4K is Psycho. So
All right, cool. Well, we should probably move on to our next film. Andy, what would that be?
okay, our next film comes to us from 1980. It is called Without Warning.
The hunting season has begun. But the hunter isn't human. Only the prey are. It came without warning. Like nothing on this earth.
Our friends are dead.
Beyond any known terror.
No, that horrible creature. Come on. They're escaping me.
Because when it leaves this planet, no one may be left alive.
Look, I'm warning you. When they start eating on you, don't come to me for help.
Baby!
He came down here with a sport. He wants to get himself a few trophies. You know what? Right now, you and me, we are the prize game.
The hunter. The hunted.
There was no tree.
The thing that preys on human fear and feeds on human flesh. From deepest space it came, and now man is the endangered species. It came without warning, and now it's coming for you.
I'm like tap dancing at the end there. Sandy and Greg are two teenage kids going camping with their friends in California. Their plan is to go to the lake in town, and despite warnings from the creepy town gas station owner, Joe Taylor, played by Jack Palance, the kids go camping there and end up separated from each other. Greg and Sandy team up with Taylor to save the town, but unfortunately for them, Taylor is rather eccentric and fixated on hunting down the hostile alien threatening them. And a former Vietnam War veteran, Fred Dobbs, played by Martin Landau, is convinced that Sandy and Greg are the aliens. Okay, we get our second viewing of Martin Landau as crazy Fred Sarge Dobbs, and Joe Taylor is played by Jack Palance. We also Tom, which is a friend of Greg and Sandy, is David Caruso, and I believe this was his film debut. Caruso was he like NCIS or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
Yeah, he always put on the sunglasses real slow.
Yeah, okay.
I know him from Session 9, though. Come on.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I think I remember him from Jade. But anyway, not important. Basically, these kids go out to, do a little camping, and something is basically throwing these ninja starfish sucker things at them that are alien, and it's, attaching to them and ripping their guts out. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the movie starts out almost, it kind of reminded me like of the way Hatchet started out, with like the father and son hunting. And basically this whatever this alien is throwing at them and killing them, it ends up killing the father and the son. And the son is kind of like a hippie, because he basically unloaded the shotgun and couldn't fire back, and he gets killed too. And then you cut to literally the worst scoutmaster I've ever seen on film or ever. Okay, I just want to elaborate on what this guy does. He separates himself from his Cub Scouts, in a wooded area, which is probably, there's like the first cardinal sin. Basically, he wants to go and smoke, and then when he does go try to light his cigarette, he tries to light it with a flint, but he can't. Apparently, he doesn't notice a firearm that's been unattended within the realm of children too. So yeah, I'm kind of glad this guy died because he was an idiot.
I just want to interject real quick. Sometimes when I'm watching movies for the show, and I really miss the days of Andy's favorite line from a film, because I think it would have been when Larry Storch said, when he's telling the kids to go find rocks to bring home to their parents, and he said something to the effect of, "But don't pick up any rattlesnakes because they have germs."
Oh God. I don't know. I may have missed that.
I wet myself on that line. That was hilarious. It was comic timing gold too, because he put that little pause right there. He says, "Don't pick up any rattlesnakes because they have germs."
They have germs. I did forget to mention that Dean Cundy did the cinematography on this, but I think the version that I watched mine on Plex, and it was so the quality of the film just did not look good to me. That maybe the version you guys watched might have been a little bit better, but I figure it's Dean freaking Cundy, so he's worth mentioning. Another name who played the alien in the end, that spoiler alert, they blew him up in a shack, is Kevin Peter Hall, but he played a much cooler alien about 7 years later in Predator. Yeah, not a big fan of this one, guys. Not really.
Really,
I mean,
I figured this would be an Andy pick.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it, but I wasn't really crazy about it. I mean, I think the saving grace for me was probably Martin Landau, just him acting really crazy. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I did really like, you couldn't really tell which one was the town cuckoo in the beginning, whether it was Joe or Fred, because they were both really kind of putting out the Crazy Ralph vibes for me, with me. Like, basically kind of like how Ralph says, like, Camp Crystal Lake is cursed, and Joe's saying, like, don't go out there, don't go out and, near the lake, there's something out there. And Fred just being, well, crazy. He's like a Section 8 in the army. But yeah, there was parts in the movie that I liked where, Fred had hijacked the police car, and they don't know it's him, and they think they're going to be able to, get some help, and basically, Fred thinks they're aliens. Oh heck, what else did I really like? If Before I pass this on, if I do have to recommend a Martin Landau movie that he made, it was either 80 or 81, I would say, if you want Martin Landau in this time period in horror, watch Alone in the Dark.
Yes, Alone in the Dark.
Because he is such a bug-eyed, crazy bastard in that movie. I don't think he blinks.
No, I freaking love that movie. That movie is so highly underrated, and it's interesting because that also has Jack Palance in it, just like this one does.
And Alone in the Dark also has Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, who again plays a doctor. Plays a very bad doctor, but he's a little more batshit crazy in Alone in the Dark than he is in Halloween.
Yes. So,
I'm also convinced they have the same poster artist for those two films,
right?
because this poster is seriously one of the best I've ever seen. I love it a lot.
Yeah.
And Alone in the Dark is iconic too. Anyway, okay,
yeah,
sorry.
Kind of the same thing with like a picture with inside the silhouette of the. Yeah.
It's this one's okay. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I'm not really in love with it. The design of the alien, it kind of reminded me of like the really big-headed Richard Keel from what is it, Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of eerily reminiscent of that, but we didn't really see him. I mean, basically, when he gets shot, he looks like he sprung a leak in his shoulder because I mean that shit just. I mean, it looked like somebody popped a water balloon. I mean, it just looked like it just really kind of shot out.
Well, and
But
it sounded like a faucet too. You know, the audio
and he
on it
sounded
was
like
weird.
he sounded like an elephant when he got blown up. Did you hear that?
That's because they used elephant noises for
Oh.
the sounds of the alien.
Yeah. So, yeah, when they, basically, they blew up an elephant in the end, and I mean, I didn't hate it, but I'm not really in love with it. But, it's worth a watch. But anyway, I'll shut up. What'd you guys think?
I probably fall in the same category as you. It was like crazy enough to like, but not like balls to the wall crazy enough to like love it for being crazy, if that makes sense. Like I wanted them to go a little further.
Yeah.
Like when we see these things, like these suckers grab them and start, pumping the blood and stuff. I'm like, I want more of that. I want some like big ones that cover their whole face. I want like these things flying around. I want it, but when we get those scenes, I really like that stuff. And I like the paranoia of like who's doing this, that nobody trusts anybody. I mean, it's the typical thing we've seen in everything from American Werewolf in London to Hostel, like where the strangers walk into a bar and we need help and no one knows who to trust, and you can't trust these new kids that come into town, and they can't trust the locals, and there's bodies in the barn. And maybe after watching these type of conspiracy movies, I was almost expecting like when they get back to that little shed that the bodies would be gone and no one would believe him. And it's like I would be a little more freaked out if I fell in a hole that was like 6 feet down. Like she casually falls in a hole that's like deeper than her entire like. I mean, it's like a 7-foot hole, and she falls down, and she's fine, and she's like, "Oh, dang it, help me out." Yeah, and I'm like, dude, like that, I'd get the fuck out of there and not turn her back, But yeah, it was fine. It was. I mean, it's hard to no spoilers, but it's like you're comparing it against two of my favorite movies. So it probably up against these two, but if this was on like another Mike week, this could have been the best one. So
that's true.
That says, it's like it's only hurt by its competition. So I enjoyed it. It was short, at least. It was 90 minutes. It was fun. It had some probably unintentional humor in it, but it looked like sort of like Kelso was, from that 70s show, was walking around as the lead. It sort of reminded me of him with the hair, and yeah.
Yeah, they still got him though.
So yeah, did I mention that the poster was really cool? Love that poster.
Yeah, when you finally see the aliens that are on the poster, it's sort of like underwhelming. But it looks cool in the poster.
Yeah, no, I kind of liked the alien design, and he was cool. And I don't the little frisbee guys. I don't care about. It's just. They
remind me of like when people throw pizza dough in the air, and they're making. That's what they look like to me.
But they sound like little bats, which I'm surprised Mike even liked. I thought Jack Palance was out of his fucking mind.
Yeah,
I didn't enjoy that, but and Landau was a little. It was. But that poster, guys, if you look at it, I suppose you loved it. Oh, and then Graydon Clark. Come on, of course. That's why Mike loves this movie. Tell us why you love it.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up Graydon Clark, because I was going to bring that up. The director, and I believe he's inducted into the Insane Spix Hall of Fame.
Oh, he is.
Director of Joysticks, Wacko, Satan's Cheerleaders. So had to make you guys watch Without Warning. Come on. Yeah. I think I'm more in the Tad category with this one. Had some, it had some fun stuff to it, but not enough wackiness in it to love it. I mean, there's moments when there's no pizza dough alien suckers and no alien, where it's just,
But I did like the charisma of that main dude. He didn't end up doing much in his life. I mean,
oh yeah, I know.
thought he
I
could have
looked
been
him
somebody
because I
but-
looked him up, and yeah, you're right. He didn't do much because I'm watching this movie trying to think of where I knew this guy from, and I thought he.
Looks
I
like
thought
he should be
looked,
in The Howling or something.
Yeah, I thought he looked like. I thought it was in the old Facts of Life TV show. Joe had this
Yeah.
boyfriend who was in the Navy. I forget the character's name, and I thought it was that same actor, so I had to look him up, and it wasn't.
If I may intervene, I will say the one scene that I thought was hilarious is when they're in the van and they're traveling down the road. They're trying to get help, and and a little bit of the pizza dough is on the windshield, and they're freaking out. And she just goes, "Try the windshield wipers," and it flicks it off. They've been going down the road like maybe 3 or 4 miles, just freaking out, and they're just like, "Try the windshield wipers," and it flicks it off, and they're like, "Oh,
We've defeated it."
Yeah, they just get so like outrageously happy over this like simple task. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh yeah. But yeah, there's just a lot of moments where you're not getting because for me, the saving grace of this movie is Martin Landau and Jack Palance. Like I watch those guys in anything, especially when they're full on crazy, like they are in this movie.
Out of their minds.
I've never seen another actor like Jack Palance that no matter what he's doing, if it's freaking what was the show he used to host? Ripley's whether he's hosting
great.
Ripley's Believe It or Not, or if he's in City Slickers, or if he's in this, where
Trying to kill Tango and Cash.
he gets that weird little smile on his face, and you don't know if he's happy or if he's going to rip your head off and use your skull as a spittoon. You just don't know, and you don't want to be in the same room with the guy ever. And I've never seen a performer like that ever, where you can't exactly pinpoint the character's emotions at any given time, where it's either
I'd say
normal or
Christopher
homicidal.
Christopher Walken's pretty close to that, if you ask me.
So anytime they were not on the screen, and the pizza dough sucker creatures were not on the screen, which there was a lot of moments of that where the movie just kind of drags. So was kind of a bummer. I did also like the look of the alien. The alien head itself was created by Rick Baker, of all things, which is crazy. They spent $19,000 to have Rick Baker just do the head of the alien. But I thought it looked cool. And that guy who played the Predator, who plays this alien, is a tall mother effer. He was also, if anybody, and when I say anybody, I think I just basically mean Jason, who's old enough to remember the TV show Misfits of Science.
Oh, hell yeah.
You remember the big, tall, black scientist guy?
No.
Okay, never mind. Did you know that was also...
Was that the same guy?
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Did you know that was also one of Courtney Cox's first things she ever did was Misfits of Science?
Yes. That and Bruce Springsteen videos.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Misfits of Science was such a good show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. One more thing about Alone in the Dark.
His the movie.
Martin Landau's performance in that, I always thought, like, man, if he was younger, he could have played the greatest Joker of all time.
Yes, he's got the face.
He's got the face, but oh man,
That
in Alone in the
smile.
Dark, he
Oh.
gets that like evil laugh going when he's like hunting down the mailman to steal the mailman's hat. He's like, "I want your hat." Oh, we should have watched Alone in the Dark.
Have you seen Alone in the Dark, Tad?
No.
It's going on the list.
First
I'm afraid
time,
of the
man.
dark.
Have
First
you ever
time.
seen a magic trick?
It stars the crazy one from the A-Team, the one that
Hannibal? No, Mad Dog Murdoch?
yeah, Mad
Mr.
Dog
T.
Murdoch. He played the crazy one on the A-Team, but yet he's the normal one in Alone in the Dark. So
Maybe
Tad,
that's
what's
what
our
made him crazy.
That's without warning.
Yep. Tad, what's our third movie?
Our third movie is a modern one from 2019. It is The Vast of Night.
Number, please.
Hello? Is this Lee? Large object holding over my land like a
This is WOTW Radio in Cayuga, New Mexico, and this is the news for the hour.
Now, what would you like to tell us about yourself?
I don't know.
Cool, aren't you like some big science girl? Tell me about science.
Everett, it's Faye. A sound came through the board and interrupted your radio show.
What a sound.
What's going on, Everett?
718 here at WOTW. We got a sound we'd like to play that seems to be bouncing around the valley tonight.
Yes, I have a story that might be helpful.
I can tell you what's going on.
The sound we heard out in the desert, it was coming from thousands of feet higher than anything could fly.
They've come here before. They've liked this place. They always have.
It is 7:45 p.m. and we may have something that'll need some control. What?
We followed it from Colt Canyon. Faye! Who's that? It's Everett. Stop smiling. What's he doing here? He's helping me. Stop smiling.
Get in! It's outside of town! Come on, come on, come on! Faye, come on!
Something's up there now. It's something talking. And they don't stay for long.
Hey!
Everett, take the wheel! What's going on? There's something in the sky.
Yes, The Vast of Night. I'm so excited for this one. This was one that I think made my top 10 in 2019.
Oh, mine too.
Our best.
Yeah.
And this was a surprise hit when I saw it. It's not that Amazon's known for their great original sci-fi horror. But man, this movie just hits on every mark for me. One night in New Mexico in the late 1950s, a switchboard operator and a radio DJ discover a strange audio frequency which could change the future forever. So really, really simple plot, but the way it is put together, the way it is shot, these two main characters, Faye and Everett, their chemistry is so fantastic. Their performances are just so good. The way this is shot, almost the opening is like a single shot. It sort of sets it right up. It's very simple. We almost don't see anything, but it's terrifying. The basic premise, as I just sort of said, but like Faye works at the switchboard, and Everett is a radio DJ, and they're friends, and they're sort of walking to work separately. This weird frequency, the sound comes over the air, and she patches it into Everett, who ends up putting it on the air, which leads to a mysterious man calling with a conspiracy theory, you could say, some stories that he had about what the sound could be. We find out that this man is black, and back in the 50s that did matter, that these experiments they did to these guys, these jobs they made them do, they only made like black and Mexican men do them, so they wouldn't be believed. And then we meet another character, an older woman who is like speaking a different language, and she's like telling them to use this. And it's so gorgeous. I love I could watch this on mute and love it. And then but you could also watch it with your TV off, just listen to it, and it's like a teleplay.
Because it shuts off in several scenes.
Right. Yeah, it literally, there's no picture. Yeah, and it's so simplistic. I love it for its simplicity. It's so amazing. Like this one blows my mind. This is one like I wouldn't shut up about a few years ago when it popped back up for an episode. I was so stoked to have a reason to go back and watch it again, and I think I liked it even more this time. I didn't think that was possible, but fantastic performances, like I said, from Sierra McCormick, who plays Faye, and then Jake Horowitz, who plays Everett. And it's mostly those two. We have a couple scenes with other actors, but it's really those two leading the movie. And, it builds up to something. But what's cool about it is that while it does build up to it, there's not like a really huge epic ending, but it doesn't need that. It's about the build up to it. It's about the tension of not knowing, about them finding out. And he couldn't set it during another time. And from reading, this was like based on is loosely based on a true story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But this director, Andrew Patterson, hasn't done anything since and had never done anything before.
Really? Oh, that's a shame.
And he wrote it under a pseudonym, so he's uncredited as a
Right.
writer and director on the movie. This played, I believe, at like Sundance or Slam Dance. Premiered at Slam Dance in January 2019, and Amazon saw it and smartly picked it up. And it's funny because maybe a few days ago, earlier this week, I was looking on my Facebook memories, and this was playing at the drive-in in Bluegrass, Iowa, and I want to kick myself in the fucking face for not going to see it. What a cool movie to see at the drive-in. So,
and how many years ago was that memory on Facebook?
That was 2020, May 2020.
2 years ago on the day, and we pick it also for a podcast.
Yeah, it came out May 29th, 2020.
Is that a conspiracy?
Which is, what's today? The 24th, so a couple days away.
Coincidence?
Yes.
The fucking
Or
energy, the kinetic energy of this movie, from its cinematography to the dialogue, its nonstop pace. You're just on the edge of your fucking seat the whole time. It's so amazing because the whole movie you're going from one place to another place to another place to another place. It never lets you sit down and stop for a second, really. And it's just some of the most beautiful shots and cinematography. But
the
like
music,
you said,
the music's great.
While being the most
Oh my God.
simple fucking movie you've ever seen. I just am blown away. I
Less
love
is
this
more.
movie.
If there is
Oh.
truly another plane of existence, Rod Serling is holding his cigarette and nodding approvingly like a motherfucker at this movie.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that. The name of the town in the movie, it's a fictional town, and the name of the town, I can't remember what the name of the town was, but it was actually Rod Serling, the name of Rod Serling's production company that produced The Twilight Zone.
Oh, nice.
I mean, it starts off with sort of like a Twilight Zone
little
prologue.
Paradox Theater. Yeah.
Really cool. Yeah.
I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. I adore this film. I love the chemistry between Everett and Faye. You can tell that Everett, he puts on this front with people just in terms of his character, but once he's alone with Faye, he really lets his true self be known. And he really, I think he's really into Faye a lot more than he lets on. But like once they're together, he tends to soften up a bit, which I think that's very subtle. You don't really notice it because you're too in tune to what's going on, what the situation is. But yeah, I love the sets. I mean, they made it, the time period wise, it looks perfect down to, basketball uniforms, the gym, the cars, of course, the clothing, freaking soda machines, the electrical equipment. I mean, everything is just absolutely spot on perfect. And sometimes it may sound like I'm a stickler for that, but I'm looking at this stuff and I love what I see. So I'm noticing everything. But yeah, normally the ending, which seems so bleak, but you don't really know what happens to them.
Oh, I love its ambiguousness.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm right behind Tad on this one. I love it. I love this movie a little bit more every time I see it, and I absolutely freaking loved it the first time I saw it. So yeah, highly, highly, highly. I can't recommend this movie enough.
Turn off all the lights and put it on and sit back and enjoy it. It's just fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes when you watch horror films, it's so hard to care about people because sometimes they're just sheep's led to slaughter, but you care about Everett and Faye, you care about them. At least, I mean, I'm really attached to these characters, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And just, I mean, even so much, you know, the town, because you know I'm from a small town, you know. I mean, just we all act like that, you know. I mean, if we saw something big ass and hovering in the sky, we'd be, you know, freaking the fuck out. Just like no, it doesn't matter if it'd be the 50s. I mean, it matter now, but yeah. I mean, I think you guys have pretty much covered everything about, you know. I have nothing bad whatsoever to say about this film. The Fast and Night is awesome.
It's almost insulting to like compare, but like the super smooth, fast dialogue that's back and forth between Everett and Faye has that like it takes me back to like the first time I saw Clerks, and I'm like, whoa, the way these guys are talking to each other is like, and this is better, I would say, but like
yeah.
I remember just seeing Clerks for the first time and thinking like, oh, this is like how real people talk. This isn't like how movie people talk. You know what I mean? And the back and forth, and sort of like Tarantino is good at that too, where you can have a whole scene of people just sitting at a table talking and you're completely engaged, where this is like them just walking through a small town at night in a summer. It gives you that Vig vibes. I mean, we're all from small town Midwest, so we know those summer nights where you hear the crickets and you see the lightning bugs, and it's like if something goes down in your town, everybody knows about it. It spreads fast, you know, and it's like the paranoia, the panic and paranoia of like, well, someone said they saw something in the sky, and Everett's like, well, don't go be saying that because there's no, you know, that they confirm that. And then they're like driving the car, and the driver is like sort of taken by the aliens briefly and starts to steer off the road. She has the baby with her, and it's like, oh shit, you know, and yeah.
And that
really,
dialogue has such a great 50s style to it. You
yes,
know?
it's just never
Jeez,
like never
slang
feels so perfectly like everything they nail it.
Yeah, like raspberries and we're baking biscuits and just anything that they say is just and it doesn't come off. And the way that it's delivered, it doesn't come off as cheesy or you don't want to roll your eyes at it.
It
You
feels
just kinda,
authentic.
you
It's not an homage.
Yeah, you feel kind of, you know, warm and fuzzy inside, even though you never heard the shit, you know, when you weren't even alive. But when you mention small towns and like the crickets chirping, I mean, it's just like, I mean, I think where you're from, you know, depends on, you know, how you watch this, you know, what would scare you like in this movie. Because like when I hear crickets chirping outside, you know, and just like I feel like a sense of serenity and calm because there's no like madness and traffic going around in me. Whereas like if a city kid heard that shit, he'd probably freak the fuck out because it's too quiet and something is, you know, really scary is about to happen. But yeah, just like you guys said, just the dialogue and everything. And man, I might as well just shut up because I can't say enough good things about this, you know, movie. The people need to watch it. More people need to see it.
And dude, what about that oneer from the moment she lights up that cigarette and then it goes all the way through town, through the basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
So good, and back,
one shot. It's just, God, this movie's brilliant.
Yeah, I totally dug shots like that. Those like really long tracking shots, following in and out of things.
I would hate to be an actor having to memorize all that shit that they had to do in this. Good Lord.
Yep. No, this movie is great. Definitely, you know, I'm a fan because of that fast wit back and forth dialogue. I've always been a fan of just really quick dialogue like that, and with that 50s feel to it, really speaks to me a lot as well. I definitely feel like
when
it
you
feels.
were a kid.
Yeah. I definitely feel they really captured what I would assume the 50s was like, because I have no idea what the 50s was like. You Jason, I think you mentioned just how just all the back and forth and never taking a moment to really sit down or anything. I loved that stuff where
just doesn't.
She runs from the switchboard over to the library, and she's just running back and forth because she doesn't have a car. Yeah, she's just always running through this entire town, and that just definitely takes you back to a time that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, people can't can't take out their garbage without getting in the car first and driving to the end of the driveway, let alone driving from or running from your job to the public library to the radio station. Yeah, and what's cool is that just that the camera is just following her and on top of her the whole time, which is great. So good. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this too, and I love the simplicity of it, as well. I love simple stories like this, and it's not a lot of that happens physically, but there's still a lot going on, which is also really good, really cool.
And can we get Andrew Patterson a new movie? What the hell?
No doubt.
Yeah.
He sort of looks like Robin Williams from Jumanji at the end, but who am I to say?
The filmmaker definitely was paying a lot of homage, and I feel really captured the feel of like horror anthology shows from the 50s, like Twilight Zone and whatnot, and the old radio days. As a kid, like the public library would have tapes of old radio shows, and I would rent those all the time, and I just love listening to old radio shows, and this really feels like that, a lot of that as well, which is just so cool. And you get that too, like somebody mentioned before, on how the screen will literally just fade to black and just linger on black during a chunk of the dialogue throughout this movie, and it's awesome. But yeah, I was just reading through IMDb trivia, and there is just a lot of homages to 50s sci-fi horror throughout this movie. The radio station call letters, WOTW, is an homage to War of the Worlds.
Oh.
Yeah. Which obviously this movie has got to be highly inspired by, just based on what's going on. So yeah, total thumbs up from me as well. I dug it. I think I remember watching it. I know I've watched it before, and I think it was for that particular year ender. It may not have made my top 10. I don't remember. Well, there was maybe just superior films that year. I don't know, but it's definitely a great film. So yeah, feels like we've been talking forever. So I think we should take a break and listen to a promo for our podcast network called the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. We have so many various shows on the PFPN, including Unsung Horror. I can't say that. Unsung Horror. You get reviews of underseen horror films, movies with less than 1,000 views on Letterboxd, hosted by Lance and Erica. Definitely check them out, and all the other shows at thepfpn.com. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal: providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to the show, and it's now time to turn it over to you guys, the listeners. Go.
It's time for
Shout-outs! 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 Shout-outs!
All right, let's start over in the Facebook group edition. We just asked, what's your favorite conspiracy-based horror movies? And up first, we got Attacker Abe Kirshner says, Bug. It's Michael Shannon being paranoid and amazing for an hour and 40 minutes. What more do you need?
That movie is amazing and disturbing and disgusting.
And next we got attacker Tony Miller. He says, I hate movies. Up next we got Tim Lederer. He says, they live. It's John Carpenter's horror / science fiction hybrid movie that asks, what if the Reagan Revolution was just setting up the 99% for total extermination in the service of inhuman overlords? Looking at the world of 2022, my only problem with the movie is that it thinks there's going to be a happy ending. He says, oh, also Cthulhu from 2007. A man goes back to his crappy homophobic town for his mother's funeral, and it turns out Dad's weird cult, one of the many, many reasons the protagonist never wanted to go back home after he left, is doing weirder and more dangerous stuff than the lead ever even imagined. Then we got Brian Clark, Mikhail Sovai's The Sect. It's beautiful.
Oh, nice.
It's a beautifully shot, atmospheric, occult nightmare. The Sect. That is a good movie. And then we got the Reebster, Mike Reeb. He says, since They Live has already been mentioned, I'm going to go with Cabin in the Woods and the Omen trilogy.
Oh.
Omen trilogy. That's right. Let's see. And then over on the Facebook page, we got Lisa from the Bad Bunny Movie Podcast. She says, They Live and Return of the Living Dead are classics. They Live is even more powerful on the big screen. The Vast of Night is a more recent addition to conspiracy horror and a fun watch, if only for the use of switchboards. And our last shout out here is from attacker Brett Royer. He says, definitely They Live and Pie.
Oh.
Does he just want pie? No, it's just P-I. So the movie Pie. Okay. We don't have anything on Facebook and Twitter, but guys, we got a couple voicemails.
Nice.
You're going to want to hear these. Up first, this guy.
Hey, everybody, Attacker Brian for my bi-weekly telephone call. And it sounds like we're covering conspiracy movies on this episode. And I saw a couple people say They Live. I didn't see anybody say The Stuff or The Brain from 1988 that I actually just checked out this week. And when we're talking about conspiracies and horror movies or science fiction, how do we leave out the whole series of The X-Files, which was one of my favorites growing up? Hope everybody have a good week. Take care. Bye.
All right, and one more. Here's
Brain. That
The
would have been
Brain.
a good one. I love that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, you should have worked on the Blu-ray.
Oh, guess what?
What?
I did work on the Blu-ray.
That's so cool. All right, one more voicemail from Aaron.
Hello, Attack of the Killer podcasters. This is Aaron Reese from Campfire Indoctrination Podcast. When it comes to conspiracy theories, it's these movies are great because they inhabit a world of secrets, and there's so much out there. You're on the edge of your seat because you never know what sort of malevolent force is on the other side of your front door. In choosing one horror conspiracy movie, I have to go with the 1988 John Carpenter film starring Roddy Piper and Keith David. Hold on one second. Hi, let me just finish this thing.
What just happened?
Aaron?
Hello?
Aaron, you there?
Conspiracy.
Is that a new segment you're working on? Well, yeah, that was awesome. Thank you, Aaron, and thanks everyone. And you all can
I
leave.
hope he's okay.
I do too. We should probably message him and see.
I'm busy.
Okay, but anyone else, if you want to leave a voicemail, you can give us a call at 415-952-6857 or 415-95-AOTKP. Leave us that voicemail. It might be evidence, who knows, but we'll play it on the show, and that is shout outs. But we're not done yet. One last piece of conspiracy. How this guy got a podcast, we may never know. Up next, it's Insane's Picks.
He's big. He is a hulk of a man. At 7 foot 4 inches, he was stuck playing monsters and heavies in films and television, including one of the many great actors who played Frankenstein's monster. Although his version would be considered the Play-Doh-faced Frankenstein monsters from Al Adamson's Dracula vs. Frankenstein. This Insane Picks Hall of Fame, we induct a giant in the industry, John Bloom. John Bloom was born February 19th, 1944, and grew up in and around Los Angeles. He originally worked as an accountant who was coerced into acting in 1971 by a legendary schlock exploitation filmmaker, Al Adamson. Bloom made his acting debut as Frankenstein's monster in the mess of a film, Dracula vs. Frankenstein, in 1971. To this day, he is the tallest actor to ever play Frankenstein's monster, a whole 17 inches taller than Boris Karloff. In the movie, Frankenstein's monster kills a police officer played by Albert Cole. In that exact same year of 1971, John Bloom and Albert Cole played the title creature together in The Incredible Two-Headed Transplant. In that movie, John plays Danny, the dim-witted son of a caretaker who has the head of an escaped psycho killer transplanted onto his body. However, John would continue to work with Al Adamson in supporting roles in both Brain of Blood in 1971 and Angels Wild Women in 1972. By 1979, he was the murderous extraterrestrial who terrorizes Los Angeles in the sci-fi horror movie The Dark. The movie that was originally directed by Tobe Hooper until he was fired and replaced with a completely different director. After in the 1970s, John would make his way into more Hollywood films, including one of my favorites, Bachelor Party from 1984. He was the intimidating bodyguard for the Indian pimp who had to go and get the hookers back from the party. Remember, Mitch will cut your balls off. Even though he was doing more mainstream films and television, that didn't mean he wouldn't return to horror. He was the Reaper in one of the cannibal hillbillies in the only movie where a dog has a flashback scene, The Hills Have Eyes Part 2.
That's right.
Bloom continued working throughout the 1980s and early 1990s, playing tall, hulking thugs and seedy criminals in minor to small roles in movies and television until health problems led to his semi-retirement in the mid-1990s. Being a giant, he also suffered from many health issues, such as an enlarged heart, among many other physical problems. John Bloom died of heart failure on January 15th, 1999, at the age of 54. He may not has had a giant body of work in the world of Insane's Picks. He most definitely left a giant mark in Z-grade cult cinema, though. So in this Insane's Picks Hall of Fame, we induct John Bloom.
You did it!
And that is all for another episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. I would like to end this episode with a joke. Ready?
Oh, boy.
3 conspiracy theorists walk into a bar. You can't tell me that's just coincidence. Thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you on the next episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Oh no, could this be the end of? Attack of the Killer